everybody, and welcome at long last to my review of Blade Runner 2049, or Blade Runner 2049, whatever you prefer to call it. So, I want to apologise for the delay for this review. I hadn't had the funds, unfortunately, to go and see it. But luckily enough, I was, lent the funds and invited to see it. So I thought, okay, I'll go and watch it. And and I had seen and reviewed the first one, so I was curious to see this one. Okay, so and as you know, my couple of my subscribers are eagerly awaiting my review to see what my thoughts are. Well, I hope they're satisfied with my review. Anyway, so Blade Runner 2049. It picks up about 30 years after the first one. And the story is that basically it centers around this agent named Agent K. He's a new Blade Runner. He's trying to solve this mystery. I won't go into the full details of the plot because I think you better just see it. And out of respect to the filmmakers, to Denis Villenueve, if that's his name, Denis Villenueve, who's directed it, he said he doesn't want it spoiled. So for the best. So as I said, it centers around Agent K. He's trying to find out this mystery, and he has to track down an old Blade Runner, Rick Deckard, Harrison Ford's character, and solve this mystery. And that's all I'm going to say. They have to solve a mystery, and it leads to very interesting circumstances. Blade Runner 2049. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really hot on the original. I watched the original recently, and I didn't really like it. I just couldn't get into it. It was too slow, and I just didn't think the plot was any good. I didn't think it was very interesting. So I had my reservations going into Blade Runner 2049, and obviously the fact that it's a kind of similar film, and in the fact of the style of the pacing, and also the fact that it was really long, was kind of a scare to me. But boy, what do you know? What do you know, guys? I really enjoyed it. I know that you, Alan, and you, Jack, are cheering right now. The fact that I really enjoyed this movie. I was really worried that I wasn't going to like this movie, because I didn't like the original. I mean, that being said, this movie could really go either way for you. You could either, if you're a fan of the original, you'll probably love this movie. If you're not a fan of the original, I don't know if this is going to be the thing that wins you over. It has for me. This has completely won me over. It's made me respect the original a lot more. I will have to watch the original again. I will buy these two movies on Blu-ray when this one comes out. I want to watch them back to back. See if I can appreciate the first one a bit more. But I thought this one was a major improvement over the first one, and it's not perfect. I don't think it's perfect, but it is very good. And you know what? It'll do for me. You don't even really need the first one. You do. Actually, you do probably need the first one. It would help to watch the first one, because there are certain elements. It does hark back to the first one in a very interesting way. Spoiler territory there, so I can't really go any further. I have to say, I was very surprised. I thought this movie. Let's just get this out of the way. The technical aspects of this movie are astounding. I think it looks not just as good, but better than the original. That might be to do with the fact that it's been made in this day and age, in 2017. But the visuals are stunning, and it's such a good movie to look at. And it definitely pays homage to the first one in the sense of the style of shots, like the big landscape panoramic shots of the city, as well, and also the music does that as well. It goes the music is very loud and bassy, and definitely is reminiscent of the original. So they have tried to make something that does feel like it's from the world of the original, and they have done that. The cast, I think the cast are great for this movie. Ryan Gosling is outstanding. This is his best performance I've ever seen him do, and he's probably the best performance in the movie. The fact that his character really is a character that, at first is very emotionally hidden, and we find out he's going on a personal journey of discovery. What you think is going to happen doesn't happen, and when he realizes what he wanted isn't what happens, then his emotions overtake him, and I thought that was excellent. I mean, I won't say, but people who've seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. The scene when he goes to see the woman who, the memory creator, the woman who creates the memories, whose name shall not be mentioned, and, you know, the scene, he just goes into this emotional outburst, and I didn't understand it when I saw that, but then at the end of the movie, it completely made sense, and he gets pushed to the very edge, and he has to make a decision about, you know, what does he value more, you know, the cause he's fighting for, or the personal, you know, what it means personally to Rick. You know, he has to choose between Rick and his cause, and that's a very interesting choice that he has to make, and I thought that was expressed very well in the script. You have Robin Wright, who plays Lieutenant Joshi, in a, well, small but pivotal role. I thought they had a good on-screen chemistry. Mark Arnold is the interviewer. Ana de Armas is Joy. I think I've seen Ana de Armas in one other movie. I think it was a fucking stupid film, but it was Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. Fucking absolutely stupid film, but it was so funny because it was so badly done. In that movie there was actually a sex scene with Keanu Reeves and the director's wife, because the director's wife was actually in it, and Ana de Armas was the other girl. It was a kind of weird scene, but anyway, I might review that movie one day because it is really quite weird. Anyway, yeah, she's good. She's good. I believe she is if I remember correctly, she is the holographic girlfriend for Kay. And that's who she is. Now I remember. Stupid Ollie. Anyway, so it was really interesting to see her relationship with him and how, you know, how their story progresses from beginning to end. There's so many. Sylvia Hoeks stands out particularly as Love, spelled L-U-V, not love. You don't really love her. she's quite a bitch. But I thought she was excellent. At first, I thought she was kind of not really on... I thought she was going to turn good at one point, but no, she's definitely devoted to Wallace and his organisation and what he's trying to do. And speaking of which, Jared Leto appears in this movie as Neander Wallace, who is this industrialist who's trying to, harness and utilize the replicants and procreate some more replicants. I mean, that's all I'll say on that. I watched Alan Kalo's review of this film before I saw mine, and I agree with him. He's a very strange character. He's very weird. I mean, I don't think he had nearly enough screen time, I have to say. Considering how long this movie is, I really do think that he doesn't have as much impact. I mean, I'm not saying that I liked Roy very much in the original. I might like him more if I watched it again. But I know that Roy definitely has a speech at the end of the first one that is quite powerful. Wallace doesn't really do anything. He appears in like 3 scenes, which is bizarre, which is strange. I thought, wow, it's such a long movie. He's barely in it. I liked his inclusion to the story was fine. The way they wrote him into the story, I thought that was clever and that was perfect. But you just needed to see him a little bit more to understand his motivations a bit more clearly. Yeah, and the third act of the movie is really the best. I mean, because the first 2 acts, I have to say, I was a little bit confused. I thought to myself, what the fuck is going on? I'm kind of not really following the plot. I was following it a little bit. I was like, I can't really understand what the hell's going on. But luckily, the third act picks it up, explains it perfectly. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get that. So he was there, and she was there, and she's the... Oh, it all makes sense. And... you know, when Wallace does his exposition moment, when he explains everything, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm with you, I get it. But the first 2 acts, I was a little bit confused. But I was intrigued as well. I was intrigued to see where it was all going to go. And Kay's journey, or in the movie they call him Joe's journey to discover the truth. in a kind of similar style to the first one, but obviously it's longer. I really liked the opening scene with Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista, obviously most known for Guardians of the Galaxy and Spectre. He appears as a brief cameo in this movie. He plays a farmer called Sapper Morton. He's actually a retired replicant who is being hunted down, because that's what Ryan Gosling's job is to do, is to hunt down the retired replicants. Which is hence how Harrison Ford's character, Rick Deckard, comes back into the story. So that was cool. I mean, there is action in this movie, but it's not huge. You know, it's not an action-packed movie. But there is action, and when the action's there, it's pretty good. The movie is slow, like the first one. It is quite slow. I am actually very surprised to say that I thought the pacing of this movie was better than the first movie. And that's saying something, because this movie is way longer than the first movie. This movie is 2 hours, 43 minutes long. Yes, it is that long, and I can imagine that being eternal for some people. But what do you know, I sat through it and I enjoyed it. I mean, I do think that maybe it did take its time to get going. I thought the first 40 minutes were a bit slow, so maybe they should have shortened this movie to 2 hours and not 2 hours 43. But after that, it did pick up, and I was more intrigued as the film went on. And I mean, I was enjoying looking at it. I mean, it's just such a visual work of art. I mean, every single frame could be a painting. I mean, you know, you can tell that Denis Villeneuve, if that's his name, I can't pronounce his name, Denis Villeneuve is definitely a visual storyteller. And, you know, recent reports have said that Daniel Craig has really considering this guy to direct Bond 25. He's got his eye on him. And I can totally see why after watching this film. I've never seen one of Denis Villeneuve's films other than this, and I can totally see why Craig wants it for Bond 25. This guy is a great director. I mean, on a visual level and on a dramatic level, his script and his stories are both consistently good, and he's a really talented guy. I mean, wow. I was amazed at how good this movie looked and how great the script was. I wasn't sure where it was going at first, but after the first 40 minutes, it really did pick up, and I really sort of became more intrigued, and more so than the first one. Unlike the first one, it retained my interest. The first one just bored me. It bored me to crap, and by the time the third act came along on the first one, I wasn't really interested anymore. Despite the fact that the first movie is much shorter, and the way that this movie does link back to the first movie is very interesting. And as for the music, I like it. The music for the first one was quite weird, and it's definitely a similar style. It's kind of, it's hard to say. It's like that sort of sci-fi classic sort of like all that kind of thing. I can't describe the music, but all I can say is that it feels like the first one. So if you're a fan of the first movie, you'll definitely get a sense that the music is is there. So, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. I mean, the script was really solid, the direction was sharp, the visuals were stunning, the pacing is very slow, but, I mean, get through the first 40 minutes, and then you'll find the rest of it to be a complete breeze. It could be said that it maybe is too long. I think they should have done it in 2 hours, really, not 2 hours 45, but I sat through it well enough, and the ending is very beautiful. You'll see that when you watch the movie. The last 5 minutes are great, and when the action is there, it's pretty good. I particularly like the final fight. There's a lot of tension as well, and some of the characters are great, and you definitely feel like you've been brought back into the world of Blade Runner. Obviously, Ridley Scott directed the first one, and now Denis Villeneuve has directed this one. Denis Villeneuve is clearly in love with the original, and he's clearly, made something that is reminiscent of that, and very, very wondrous to behold. So, yeah, I mean, I can't really give this movie away. I don't want to review it spoiler filled, because I don't think that is the way to review it. You just got to see it. You got to go and see it, and you got to see what it's all about, and then you will understand what it's all about. And I'm really glad that I saw it. Would I see it again? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I probably would, actually. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I mean, it is long, so I need to find a time to go and watch it again. But I I was very impressed with this movie. And Harrison Ford, sorry, I forgot to mention, Harrison Ford returns as Rick Deckard. He doesn't come into the film till very late in the day, so bear with it. Be patient, because he does arrive later on. His inclusion to the film I thought was fine. They didn't overuse him, they didn't underuse him, and when you find out, you know, why he's in the story, I think that's fascinating. It's a direction I didn't expect the movie to go in. So yeah, I thought that was good, and you know, it harks back to something that he did and something that happened between him and somebody else in the first movie. But no spoilers. So, if I were to rate this movie, I wouldn't say it's perfect. I'm going to give Blade Runner 2049 a 9 out of 10. Yeah, major improvement. To go from a 5 to a 9, wow. That's just great. And, you know, I want to give shout-outs to Alan Kalo, Jack McCullough, and Harry Thomas, because they've all reviewed this movie. Go and watch their reviews as well. You'll see their opinions. I think they're going to love it a bit. I think they love it a bit more than I do. But go and watch their reviews, because, you know, they're really good guys, and they really deserve all your views and support. So anyway, that's really it. That's my review of Blade Runner 2049. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put your comments down below. Let me know. And stay tuned. I'm going to be reviewing the Thor movies, including the new one. And I will also probably upload a brief review of the Last Jedi trailer for Star Wars. So until then, thank you all for watching. And as always, I'm Mr. Tarnasalut. See ya.